everybody. I think I'm back. Looks like it's green again. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Like literally right away, OBS just crashed on me. But there we go, that's 4K again. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Kimmy, you're first tonight. What's going on? What's happening, Robert Gaia? What's happening, David? Astronomy Livestream. And Bom Dia. What's happening? Somebody somewhere. What up, everybody? Happy Friday. Nearly full moon, a couple of days away. It's a 96.8 moon tonight. Rolling into 97% tonight. But feeling good, feeling great. Alright, just got it set up over here. Gonna grab my drink and my smoke. I'll be right back. Get this tunage going and the moonage going even more. So I was gonna show Jupiter, but I think it's set already, unfortunately. So we're gonna have some Saturn in a little bit and some moonage for a bit. Actually, that's a little fake out. I think I see Jupiter, so let's go over there real quick before it sets. Let's do some jupes.
theater seemed no one weirder comes. Good Baron, the soulful speaker, bring me back over telephone lines, running amok in future time. But my space theater seems no one lives here, and existence has no motives either. Bring me back to your elegant crime, free from jail.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome, Miguel, and whoever else is joining and lurking. Hope you've had a great week. It's a wonderfully beautiful Friday night here in Florida. Just one of those nights that really feels earned after tons of days of crazy storms. Lots of birds tonight as well. So I'm going to do 2 streams tonight. This first one's going to be short, maybe another 30 minutes or so. Maybe an hour probably. I'm always so like, yeah, I'll stop in an hour, and then 3 hours later. But I definitely want to do 2 streams because the moon is going to take a while to get past this door tonight. So I have another 30 minutes or so of really clear moonshot, and then after that, we'll watch some Saturn, and then I'm gonna take a break. We'll do a part 2 later on, like around midnight or 1. What's going on, Diego? Hello. Hola. Robert says, hey, I'm looking to move up from my Celestron 7400 to a Dob, maybe 6 or 8. Any suggestions as to where I can go to look for one I can afford? Tired of stacking Barlows. Yeah, I hear that. Barlows are really, after using them a bunch, you realize that using a 2 or a 2.5 is that sweet spot, and you really don't want to be doing more than that, because more glass basically just ruins the image, even if you get that magnification. So yeah, 2x is really pretty nice. What I did actually is I got a 2 and a 3, and I took the 2 and put it on the 3 tube. So that gives you kind of like a combination of the extension plus the 2x multiplier. In fact, that's the stuff I've been using lately to get like the close-up shots. Do one of Saturn later. What's going on, Corey? So in terms of telescopes, I'm going to drop some links in here after I find this track. Yeah, so I dropped in a couple of links. That's OptCore, and the other one is B&H Photo. Both of those sites have deals all the time, and clearance telescopes. I would keep an eye basically on clearance and just wait for something to come in that has like $400-500 off. Usually those things are perfectly fine, and it's cheaper to clean than to get like a brand new one. But definitely get, there's another site too, it's not coming to me right now, but it will come to me and I'll drop it in. Yep, very happy to provide the view. Like I said, the weather is just incredible, and I love it when it's clear. I'll toast to it. goes out to all of y'all. It's a song I wrote about the moon. It's a new one, it's coming out soon. I'm gonna work on the tracks and put them up by the full moon.
Deep inside my soul, you keep me waiting. You keep me deep inside your soul. I keep you waiting. I keep you deep inside my soul. You keep me waiting. You keep me deep inside your soul. You keep me waiting. Somehow I remember bad times in the dust. Only everyone was us. We edged it once and there was this trust. For lasting feeling, ignored the thru. I lived it once and took a mistake. Now into true. Tell the world what's new. Hues and blue broken from the nest. As the sea rising from the west. Old time. See my rivers wide. Close eyes. Oh, bring my visions back. Open skies. Clear the rivers wide. Old time. Bring my peace to life. Deep inside your soul, you keep me waiting. You keep me deep inside your soul. I keep you waiting. I keep you deep inside your soul. You keep me waiting. So I love you. I was the rain. What else can I do? I threw a line out for you. What else can I do? I lay my heart out for you. What else can I do? I left the light on for you. What else can I do? Oh, sweetness, it's so easy, let's jam it. Come on, spark that flame. Oh, so healing, fall back, beat at the driving. But do they run and cut your feelings? It's so meaning to drowning. And if you leave it on the table, you know they'll tell you there's no way to go. But it's we could. What else can I do? I leave the light on for you. What else can I do? I pour my heart out for you. What else can I do? I let the light on for
peeps. So, hopping in here to chat a little bit about this telescope stuff. I love talking about it. It's rare. Usually, the last like 100 shows, it's all Electric Universe. I haven't talked about scopes. So let's talk about scopes for a little bit. If y'all have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna go to Robert's question about moving up and getting a first like proper scope. So in my experience, and I'll tell you just for reference, I have a 4-inch refractor, a 6-inch Celestron Nexstar, an 8-inch Celestron Nexstar, a CPC 11 Celestron, and a couple of small, like, kind of hobby telescopes that people have gifted me. Like one, what is it? I think it's a 3-inch. No, it's a 4-inch tabletop, and another one is like an Assmaster. And those are pretty weak and kind of dirty, so I haven't really used those. But what I was trying to say in the chat is that the 6-inch Celestron comes with the fork arm, the single arm mount, and it supports the weight of an 8-inch tube. So it's one of these particularly good kind of combo deals where you get like an excellent mount, and it's not the greatest mount, but it's pretty cheap, and considering how sturdy and well made it is. So the Celestron single arm, and then the 6-inch tube is an incredible piece of optics. So getting started on the 6 is really what I think is probably one of the most sweet spots to get into an SCT, unless you're keen on or like intent on getting a Dobsonian. I would say this is probably one of the best deals. I'm just looking it up right here to just confirm how fast you can really get to the quality that I'm showing. Also want to say what's up, They Lie Ohio. He says, I get great views with my Celestron 4-inch. Yep. The 4 refractor that I have is really great. I don't know, I guess it's the 4-inch Nexstar, right? Does the Nexstar also come on the 4-inch comes with the larger mount? Let me just double check all this stuff. I guess it comes with the standard one, right? Yeah, so the Nexstar 4 SE is $500, and it looks like it does come with the standard kind of single arm mount. The 6 SE is $799, and the 8 SE that we're looking through right now is $1,200. Yeah, what's going on, Justin? And what's going on, Jill? Welcome, welcome. Just talking a little bit about telescopes here. Bomdia says, I have an 8-inch reflector, but it needs collimation. Yeah, needs to be collimated. I've never done that properly yet. I have one that I kind of screwed up when I was testing it, but it's a little bit tricky. Thankfully, the 8 and the 11 are pretty steady, and the 6 is almost brand new, so I just keep that. I think I'm going to use that for traveling. Orion Dobsonian. Yeah, there are a lot of telescopes, so I don't know. I've just had the experience with the Celestron. So what I was going to say is that kind of nice middle ground of like, I want to see planetary detail, like some planetary detail, and really great shots of the moon. You can do the Nexstar 6 SE, that's 800, and then the Sony Alpha camera, the A6000 or A5000 is like $500 for just the body. And then you get the T-ring adapter and the 1/4-inch adapter. You can get going for like $1,200 and get this quality sort of, like close to this. I mean, I guess the A6000 is not necessarily 4K, but it's still pretty clear. So yeah, let me know if you have any more questions. I mean, I'm still a total newbie when it comes to Dobsonians. I think like at some point when I have a proper backyard, I'll be getting like a 12 or 14 or maybe even 16-inch Dobsonian and adding that to the collection. Those are actually relatively cheap considering. I think you can get like a 16-inch for $2,500 or $3,000, and so it's tempting, but anything above a 12, 14-inch is extremely large, and like I don't have room for that. I mean, I don't have any more room than these. Like literally have an entire room dedicated to just like scopes and computers. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, time for a tune. A little bit of Watts.
If you want life, don't cling. Let go.
What up, Howie?
How can I desire not to desire? How can I surrender myself when myself is precisely an urge to hold on, to cling to life, to continue to survive? I may be like a person who has a bad habit, as a result of which he is committing suicide. He knows that, but can't give it up, because the means of death are so sweet. The way the world actually is an enormously complex, interrelated organism. People undergoing shock, people locked in the colorless, monotonous corridors of mental institution. If you want life, don't cling. Is that if you are really aware of your own inner workings, we didn't have some campaign to have an improved brain. When you see that there's nothing else, If you want life, don't cling.
Yo, what's going on, Michael Wise? Good to see you, brother. And 24/7, welcome. Howie, I got the email, but I have so much to catch up on. You gotta give me a few days on that. But thank you, I got it. Oh, what's up, Januli Ann? If you mean my stuff, for sure. If you find a song, I'll look for it and play it. Welcome, everybody. Bit of Moon here, got rid of the focal reducer. Actually, hold on. I should not be competing with myself. Let's try that back again. I like this track. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Rolling in 10 o'clock over here. I got the focal reducer removed, and it's holding up. This is through the door frame, so this just goes to show how light kind of curves around objects and kind of filters right into a tiny point. That's what everybody forgets about optics, is that everything you see comes to this tiny point in your eye. It just seems so large and we never really take account for it. Damn hippies. No, but Alan Watts was, I don't want to say ahead of his time, but really, even within Electric Universe, he was able to traverse, like he didn't talk about Electric Universe, of course, but when you listen to him, he really grasped the fractal nature of the universe, the persistence of memory and energy, the interconnectivity of everything. He really was sincerely one of those incredible points of informational energy and wisdom that for me is just so consistent. I've listened to a whole ton of people from, like, right after Alan Watts, I gotta say, Terence McKenna, I could probably listen to for hours. But besides those two, there are people like Eckhart Tolle, or like people like J. Krishnamurti, or who else? Ram Dass was great. There's some philosophers that just go on, and they have this kind of cadence that just is not really fun to listen to. But for sure, Alan Watts is like a dose of medicine, and it's not for everybody. Actually, I found a great Alan Watts thing for those of you who like Alan. It's a chat with Aldous Huxley's widow, and it's freaking fascinating. I'm just gonna find that. I think it's after Aldous dies. Let's see. I see Tattooed Monkey is streaming as well. Man, intense streams with Ken. Alright, I gotta find this some other time and share it with y'all, but basically, if you type in Alan Watts, Huxley, talking about this book, Island, it's pretty fascinating. Just jumping back to the chat room here, sorry. Let's see. Michael Wise says, all I got is my binoculars, some Tasco 820x50s. That's pretty great. I mean, honestly, it's shocking how much you can see with just a simple set of optics. So I never decry having low-tech gear. Wilhelm Reich, yep, but can't listen to him for that long, really. Let's see, Daylight says, have I heard any more from the dude that used to scope on his back deck? It's been 6 years ago. Nope. But honestly, it seems like that, but it hasn't. Like, I actually started the channel, let me see, July of 2015. So it's not really that long. It seems like 5 years, but it's just coming up on 5 years, actually. So it's really just about 4. And I know that I was doing the math the other day. I don't have an exact count number of streams, but I feel like it's at least 500 streams. And if you count like 4 to 5 years roughly, that's about 1,500 days. So a third of the last 1,500 days have been streaming astronomy, which is really kind of cool. I'd love to do a little chart of that, but I can't seem to like be bothered. I just kind of glanced through it the other night. I was like, oh, that's really fascinating. It's crazy how you just start something, you think like you're gonna do a few shows and then call it a day or call it a night, but still doing it right here, and it just feels better than ever. No, but I haven't heard from that guy. I haven't heard from anybody really. I think the last couple of people were just every time I have a filming of a wave, people pop in. Yeah, the problem that I have kind of with most of the philosophers is that they all engage on a level where I don't know, there's this kind of saving of the planet, right? And Alan Watts doesn't really ever talk about, well, that's not true. The way he talks about it is that he's saying, if you accept destruction and chaos, we have a chance to not destroy ourselves. And I like that. I'm not even like that. I think actually things need to be destroyed because that's the way of the universe. But I think conceptually it's a lot more interesting to think about the world as like this dance between destruction and revival and redemption. And then from, right after an immense chaos, there's immense beauty. And so he was talking about that, and he reinforces that. Other things that he talks about that I find fascinating are, he definitely talks about the morphogenic field, the stuff Rupert Sheldrake ended up talking about. Alan Watts was like way on top of that in the 50s. Mostly because I think he talked to scientists, and then he was one of those people who's like a polymath who could, study music and art and science and philosophy and merge the concepts together into a coherent story to tell people. And I find that to be a very admirable skill. Admirable skill. Alright, so it's even clearer than this, but I'm looking at it through the window pane on the door. However, I'm definitely surprised at the clarity. The refraction is not as bad. But what I'm going to do quickly is head over to Saturn, because it will set, and then it'll chromatically aberrate. I'm going to get back to this track that I want to play. Actually, let's just keep moving forward. How about that? Starlight Spectrum, welcome. Hope you're feeling well. And everybody else. 10 o'clock, taking a look at Saturn over here. Listen to old TBS tunes.
I was stolen by the rock star. Don't know what they're killing for. Staring up at the familiar lights, enormous. Don't make me pay. Of course, don't wanna live another day. Of course, what does it all mean? Is it all just one bad dream? I'm trying to forgive, locking my lips to break them apart. You're down into orbit, sparkle and tricks to sweeten the spot. Dying to forget, eyes of the world, don't let it go cold. Stuck in this orbit, sinking the coil, darling, just break my heart anymore. I can't take it. I believe it after. I can't take it. Where does this feeling come from? Where do I get the right to ask such outrageous questions? Where does this feeling get me? How do I know it's right to ask such crazy questions? Where will this feeling get me? Oh, where will this feeling get me? Now I know I have the right to ask those outrageous questions. But I'm trying to forgive, locking those lips to break them apart. I'm trying to orbit, sparkle and tricks to sweeten the spot. Dying to forgive, eyes of the world, just let it go. Stuck in this orbit, stuck in this coil, darling, just break my heart anymore.
All right, this is some zoomed in Saturn for a little bit, and then gonna head back to the moon. And these are some old school jams. This one I haven't played in a long time. Goes out to the old school TBS people. And I hope y'all new ones enjoy it too.
Let's rolling, rolling. I'm pulsing, breaking through the glass tonight. Got a million lies to see through, but I never had the nerve to call you. 'Cause I cry when I kiss you. I cry when I kiss you. A lesson in love waiting at your door.
I was able to kind of pull the door in a little bit closer so that I cleared it up for the moment. Love MacGyvering situations like that. So we got some amazing close-up moonage. I took out the 3x Barlow so we can look at the moon right here. What's going on? Carolina Sky Astronomy, welcome. And who else? I see Truth Seeker 91, welcome, first time. Please ask questions, and everyone's real cool. Nothing's really off limits. And also take a look at the description of the video. You can see links to different channels that I like, gear, music, and some information. So yeah, welcome. And also make sure you hit 4K. Sometimes it'll just kind of default to 1080. Alright, playing some of this old school TBS tunes, stuff that I wrote in 2015, ramping up to start this channel. I was like, screw it. It seems like the biggest thing is that everybody's got these issues with music. Channels always have this kind of like really loud, really kind of aggressive music. I mean, it's gotten a lot better, but for the while there, YouTube was just jarring. Sometimes you didn't really want to watch any videos because the audio was so terrible. And so what I tried to do is like, all right, I'm going to create a soundtrack for this show. And 4.5 years later, hundreds of songs later, feels like one of the best moves musically was to get into astronomy. It's crazy. All right, let's play this track one more time from the top. And what's going on, Mary? Welcome. How are you? So good to see you all.
Television, suffering out of balance, separation.
quiet, babe, but I couldn't see the edge of the cliff. I took a few steps back and I slipped. Babe, now I'm falling. I'm going adrift. Different ways, suffering days. I can't even remember my own name. I was the one who holds the silver keys, but the truth is, God, you were the one who wanted to slay the beast, and it's all around you. I was the one who ever holds the key, but the truth is, God, you were the one who said you'd slay the beast, and it's all around you. I was the one who holds the silver keys, but the truth is, God, you were the one who wanted to slay the beast, and it's all around you. I haven't sung in a long time. I've been working. This is so crunchy now. was a song, man. That was a one-take thing that I'd done a while ago. I mean, the mix is so damn loud, but I just had to bounce that one and move on. An expression. All right, this one's called The Visit, and it's good for me to talk over for a moment. Say what's up to Artorius the Great. And Light Moon, what's happening? And Masked Bishop, what's going on? And Duplicat, what's happening? LO, hanging out on the Dissident Science Live. Oh, David D. Hilster's live. Man, is everybody live tonight? Probably. It's just like good weather, I guess, for some of us. I was gonna say it's good weather for everybody, but it's probably not. It's great weather down here. It's just one of those perfect October days. So I just want to talk quickly about what we're looking at, and then I can move around. But to the right, Aristarchus crater. To the left, Herodotus. And then you have the snaking canyon called the Sinuous Rill. And the Sinuous Rill is... Man, I can't believe I've had this. I hope I didn't have the cursor on the screen the whole time. Anyway. C'est la vie. So, just want to point out Schroeder's Valley, which now really in this relief, you can tell that Herodotus right here is not actually completely connected to Schroeder's Valley right here, even though it looks like it might. Let's see if I can define it a bit more. So you see, Herodotus has its own enclosure or encasement, and it almost seems smeared. Let me lower this for a second. It's actually a little distracting. Tiny bit distracting. This is good. All right, so you have the definition of Aristarchus. It has a central peak that you can see. It has all this stratification on the sides, these kind of ridged lines that are arranged at angles. Obviously they're arranged at angles, but at even spacings. So it almost looks like a gear of sorts. See if I can't steady it a bit more. It's just on the staircase, so it's got that vibration, even though I have the padding. Still, it's amazing. I'm not complaining. Look at this amazing shot of Aristarchus, like full screen. All right, so what I want to show is just these lines, dark and light lines inside. Tiny central peak. And then as I try and draw, this is a little hard to see the hexagon, but towards the bottom you can kind of see this straight wall and angle. They're all hexagonal basically. And I think the reason that's the case is because they start off as spherical and they push outwards and they encounter resistance. And then circular becomes like almost like that. This pushes in and then it ultimately turns into, that's pretty sharp, but something like that. Because from all sides it's being pushed in. It's not being pushed in, it's basically, it's expanding. Circular like this. This is expanding. Like bubbles in your sink. Expand and then explode. And what they leave are these remnants. And because the remnants have gone through this process, they leave hexagons. It's called a boundary. They talk about it in Sapphire Project, but they talk about it in crystal lattice growth, and they talk about it in, what is it, fluid dynamics, computational fluid dynamics. Clickety click. Yo, what's going on, Oksana? Thanks for the thumbs. I appreciate it. All right, so that's a little part of the crater. So the crater basically, it's very simple. I know it sounds very crazy, but the two ideas are that we have scientists right now who look at the moon and think that every crater like this, like Aristarchus or Herodotus, were created with impacts. So some sort of rocky object came and blasted a hole. And they think that this happened like 1 billion years ago or more, during a period called the heavy bombardment, heavy to late bombardment. And so this and tons of rocks, meteors, either flaming or not flaming, cold or not cold, irregular rocks were like falling onto the moon, crashing into the moon, right? And creating all these features that we see. And the main one here showing is Aristarchus, because even in popular science, Aristarchus is supposed to be one of the very youngest craters because it glows brightly. And you can kind of see now that it's settled, that it has those internal stratification lines. Those, to me, signal growth as opposed to impact. And so that's what I kind of show on this channel that's different than other moon channels, is that like once you make the decision in your mind to accept new ideas, you start to realize that these things are so structured and geometric, it's very hard to look at them as, you know, random ballistic impacts with giant structures. Like, I mean, even what we're looking at here is like 40 to 50 kilometers across. I mean, these are giant holes, but they're perfectly platonic in nature, where they have sides, they have symmetrical geometry, they have placement that looks like things that we see in patterns. And even this whole region, that Aristarchus plateau that we're looking at, is in and of itself a square or a diamond. What's going on, Lumberjack? How's it going? So I want to show another feature here. So yeah, so I was showing that this idea that popular science thinks that every impact on the moon, every crater on the moon, every feature on the moon, including the giant basins, the Maria, the lunar mare, like Sea of Mare Crisium, or Sea of Serenity, or Sea of Tranquility, any of the large basins were created solely through impact billions of years ago. And really there were no other theories that I had seen, at least as a young adult, that floated around in popular science, because people wouldn't entertain that the moon was possibly younger than 4 billion years. So you see the video on NASA Goddard that shows the evolution of the moon, and pretty much that's the only real like popular simulation of how the moon was formed. If you type in how was the moon formed. So this idea that every single feature was created via impact is challenged by the idea that planets, comets, Earths, stars, and whatnot, and moons interact through electrical currents, and they repel each other when they come in proximity, or they dance in kind of like a twisted filamentary current. It's essentially looking at lymph nodes. Like, look at your leg and you see all the veins and nerves going through your leg, and they look like what is it? Fiber optic cables or electrical cables. We look like robots, and robots look like us, not because we just designed them that way, but because efficient networks of, you know, spiral bundles of wires stretching for endless distances in both directions in all magnitudes. And the way they move is through path of least resistance, which is branching and cellular diffusion. And here's a perfect time to say that this is all my thinking. I know I'm definitely borrowing ideas from lots of different places, but I just want people to know, like, I'm not trying to sell you anything, it's just my thoughts. But of course, I'm referencing things like Ralph Jurgens, Velikovsky, Thunderbolts Project, when they talk about how this feature right here, called Schroeder's Valley, is 150 kilometers goosenecking, turning back around. And popular science thinks that this is created by volcanic activity leaking downwards and creating this thing called the lava tube, right? But the longest lava tube on Earth is 64 kilometers across, and the moon is a quarter the size of Earth. And being exposed to the lunar harshness, the harsh lunar atmosphere, would decimate this lava tube over however long is suggested, billions of years. But you have a perfect lava tube or sinuous rill that has maintained structure and has no holes in it. I mean, there are tiny cracks in it, but really this thing would have collapsed eons ago, I believe. So anyway, this thing might have been caused by a twisted current, like a lightning bolt, between the moon and another planetary body, maybe Venus, Mars. I know in Proto-Saturnian mythology that it's supposed to have danced with Mars and created these intricate, like, carvings on each other's surfaces. However, the moon could have exchanged these filaments with Earth or with any other system. We don't really know exactly. However, we know that tons of planetary bodies, cometary bodies, other planets all have this kind of patterned surfaces. These patterned surfaces that look like they were boiled, and not that they were pockmarked with ballistic impacts. However, there are craters that look very distinctly like mounds created by ballistic impacts. Like things like these craters right here, all definitely seem to look like impacts. Mounds are created when you hit the surface of really any earth or iron like this, where it creates kind of like just very, almost like a little ant hill. It doesn't really create those flat floors, definitely does not create hexagonal rims and leave a central peak. It definitely doesn't leave these kind of, like an impact does not create these kind of lava tubes or sinuous rills. These much more look like their apparent maker, a lightning bolt, or like a nerve ending, or, you know, the obvious thing here to me looks like a sperm, of course, and it in and of itself looks like a sperm, and then Herodotus makes it look like an even bigger one. And you have recursive geometry within sexuality, of course, and within human body growth and symmetry, so everything looks like everything else, of course. Yo, what's going on, Joe Salamone? Welcome. Sorry, I'm just ranting on over here. All right, so spent a lot of time on Aristarchus. Yo, Mary, take it easy. Have a great one, and maybe I'll be on later again or tomorrow. Oh my spaghettis. Very funny. Don't make me think of food. Don't make me think of food. All right, wide shot time and new song time. Blue Copper says, how come all the hits impacts was vertical? Well, that's another kind of fact that flies in the face of impact theory, because if you consider like a plasma ball, like one of those very cheap toys, you see that electricity flows perpendicular to the surface at every point. That's why features like this look circular, or rather hexagonal, because the current discharge going across the surface is going to hit the surface perpendicularly. Like sometimes, of course, it's not going to be. There's definitely going to be an array of. Trying to think of the word, but it's just going to affect the area around it in random ways. So you're going to get diffusion growth that appears random, but ultimately when it settles, it looks geometric. However, really, the size of the filament or the size of the arcing bolt that must have created Aristarchus must have been insanely huge. So I don't know. This is really just contemporary thinking of lunar geology. It's not really right or wrong. It's just, for me, it makes a lot more sense than impact theory. And it's one of the very small fields of lunar study that is just really up for grabs. Like, nobody's talking about it. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody thinks that craters are all formed through impact, and if you suggest the opposite, they think you're a crackpot, so on. But I think it's really interesting to think that these were carved into the surface of the moon, comets, planets, etc. Makes a lot more sense to me, like sputtering, like the stuff I can visualize. The idea that the moon was smooth and then got hit by hundreds and hundreds of random pieces of rock, and that created very distinct geometry is akin to, you know, shooting a shell into a wall and expecting it to come out like a word. All right, I'm working on that analogy. You know, just like those shell. If you shoot a bullet like from a shell that has spatter, right? It's gonna have a point where you have like a main impact, but it does not create a perfect hexagon. That's what's crazy. Like, it'll create like a central condensed middle, and then it'll have striations and variations coming off the center. But yeah, but let's take a look at this crater right here, because the central peak is looking amazing. I just want to open my atlas and make sure that I'm naming it correctly. Nomenclature. This is Cavallarius crater. Let's see. What's up, Pedro? How's it going? Staying present. Cool. Welcome. So this is Cavallarius crater. This is 58 kilometers across. I've got to double check it. I can't zoom in much more than that, but let me double check this. No, I'm glad I checked that. That is not Cavallarius. This is Pythagoras. So Pythagoras is much larger. I was like, that's not 40 kilometers, it's like 100. It's 129 actually. And it has this amazing central peak in it, where it's like, almost looks like a stacked inverted pyramid. All right, let me find a track to keep playing back here. Oh, I got some skeeters tonight. Want to watch the moon with me? No skeeter.
reverse and reverse. I'm driven along, I'm driven along, I'm driven a long, long way. You took my love, you took my love, you took my love away. I'm driven along, I'm driven along, I'm driven a long, long way. You took my love, you took my love, you took my love away. I'm driven along, I'm driven along, I'm driven a long, long way. You took my love, you took my love, you took my love away.
What up, fantasy? Alright, one more for my peeps, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the moon. Strat. Everybody strat. Strat.
Boxes and boxes, your infinite toxins, all got something to say. Indestructible ideas are vanishing, aimlessly wandering away. The nation crawls, insatiable, into your nighttime activities, your liberties. I can't say you're my sister and I love you forever. You're my brother and I love you forever. Love you forever. I recall I knew the sun, the additives of fallen graces. All we know is from the one chopped down, the healing runs and body races. Won't you tell me what you like, what you need, what you like? I got so much love for you. And I can say, yeah, you're my sister and I love you forever. Just find the time to lift your eyes and notice you're my brother and I love you forever. Just find the time, just find the time, just find the time, just find the time. You're my sister and I love you forever. You're my brother and I love you forever. Just find the time, just find the time, just find the time to love you forever. Just find the time. Oh, and don't stop.
What up, Rick? Shockwave. What a shockwave.
Touch the full desire. Oh, would you hold mama came and swept you up. You married your high school lover. Man, you want some kids or something? 'Cause I never had that in me. But mama, I've been waiting for you so long. Yeah, you traveled across the seas for me, and then you left me crawling on Amsterdam beaches, waiting on the hotel floor for you. Then your mama came and swept you up. Then you went and married your high school lover. Your eyes are fading, warm, and waited for you. Try to set your life to time and pull the songs and feel the quiet of you. Go now, solve the fractals like your boring nuclear detractors. Low we were, but high we'll get. We forced the wheel on with no regrets, no regrets. Here we are now. Carry on now. Here I am now. Say it for yourself again. Here I am now. Here I am. Here I am now. After and before I. Here I am now. Say it for yourself again. Here I am now. You're looking at some leverage on the way. Here I am now. Here I am. I'm thinking of you and covered I like just reaching the soul, and I'm waiting for you. Sails and I just send the solar reaching of light. Cover of night, touching the horizon, a pair of golden angel eyes, rolling up, rolling up, rolling up high up above you. Here we go now, solving fractals like your foreign nuclear detractors. Low we were, but high we'll get. We forced the wheel on with no regrets, no regrets. Here we are now. Carry on now. Here I am now. I'm here right now. Here I am now. Just sing it for yourself again.
How convenient that light of the moon shows up right after this song without doing anything, just like magic, starlight. Magic starlight. So I'm just having a little fun here. Of course, there are a lot more than 3 GIFs of the Chang E3 lander at Sinus Iridum, but it stopped doing photos a long time ago. It had like, I want to say about like 30 shots of looking at the rover and the lander looking back. And I was like, man, they landed at Sinus Iridum. That's one of the craziest things imaginable. I want to see all these photos of what the bay looks like. Not a chance. So, and then the Chinese also have the rover on the other side of the moon, on the far side, which is just unbelievable as well, in many ways. All right, light of the moon. And also shout outs to everybody coming through right now. Chow Yan Cat, Flight Path, and Darren Moore. Let me know if I missed you. And Lady Imp.
Going.
I'm just chilling here with y'all, taking in the views and the tunes. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Another ride through space. Feeling special up.
Got your potion while I play. Your distant wishes, my delight. To your fire in the sky. Oh, I'll take you for a while. All that old for you. What you do to try to feel special, but you lose what you do when you got your cute social. Oh, it's just like humans breeze, try to feel special. Caught on the appeal, you gotta feel special. Can't you feel? Can't you feel? It's your memories, all of those dreams of your past relate. Oh, you do what you do, it's nothing real. But if I find you shining cold and divine, my soul, I was never what you do to try to feel special, but you lose what you do when you got your cute social. Oh, it's just like humans breeze, try to feel special. Caught on the appeal, you gotta feel special. Can't you feel? Can't you feel? It's your memories.
Yo, what's going on, Howard Ewing? Is it the same? Or no? It is. Welcome. Truly is. Who else? Did I miss anybody? got so hot all of a sudden. I'd scrolled all the way up trying to look through and see if I miss anyone. Cool. Everybody's talking about food, making me hungry, but I'm going carrot juice tonight and playing the old archives. This is one of them. I don't think I've really ever played this on stream, maybe. I'm sure I have once. what happens when you're not paying attention. You draw some crazy things on the moon. I was trying to show this face. Of course, faces look like phalluses, but this reminds me of, has anybody seen The Wall, where it has the crazy judge at the trial at the end with the telescope eyes and the it's all very phallic anyway, but strange cheese theory. But it's creeping me out. It's like this face staring at me when I cross into frame. But it does look like that, I guess. Anyway, what I was really actually trying to point out is the strangeness, or rather uniqueness, of these two craters side by side with like dark craterlets inside. But anyway, I'm chuckling, but that's how it goes. You try and scribble over it, you can't undo. You can't undo it when it's live. All right, let's check out some Plato crater. All these tunes are from like 2015. I'm gonna pull back, get back to this new stuff real quick. See how it contrasts.
Give you love and a common peace. Feel your pain cause it's part of me. Know you really think when your body's built. I'm amazed by the words and the lips. Give your name and a common peace. It's insane that you're part of me. Never lifts from the iron wrists. It's as if everybody is the same body. Insane that you want for relief. Maybe one day someday made it the will of somebody someday, but we're gonna slip. Here in space now we come in peace. Seeing things that you cannot believe. Ready to trip on the drift, we can live to do, cause I love to give you. We are the space race, we are the moonwalk, we are the franchise, we are the sequel, made of Standing at the headlight corner on a beach outside of heaven, across the street from where I grew up after bomb and raised. Somehow we lived, somehow we died, somehow we came back to the city side and drive through civilized genocide. We had to fight with your armies, held down from the Western forces. Had no love for the army, we bear no hate for the Western forces. When you speak out, when you sing loud, everybody wanna tear you down. But come on, come on, come on, step to me. I got nothing but love to give you. We are the space race, we are the Lunar, we are the franchise, we are the sequel, made of the ether. How are we still here? Look for your place along the space race.
Yo, what up, everybody? Just hanging out over here having a smoke. What's up, Stereogenic? And all you good people chatting. I'm just enjoying it. Right here at Copernicus Crater. I'm just going to be touring for a little bit. What's up, everybody? Lots of new tunes coming through right here. Fresh ideas for 2019. So just cruising around over here. It's getting nice and clear. It's passed over the door, but the altitude is quite high, so it's getting a bit of aberration. Denquilibrium, perfequibrium. Right, the joke there, or the learning there, is that, you know, a soup without any salt is just really not a great soup. But a soup, similarly with too much salt, is just inedible. So one must have just the right amount of salt. Little rascality, as Alan would say. As Mr. Watts would say. Where are we at? Plato, Mons Pico, Mons Recti, and I love this little bubble trail left by Plato, left of Plato, and chipped wall. You can see nice tones coming out.
of the midnight moon. Maybe right with the midnight moon. Maybe right of the midnight moon. It's right as the midnight moon. Maybe right.
I've been watching this whole thing going back and forth with Shockwave and David. I'm staying out of it. Everybody's entitled to believe what they want, but David, I would definitely recommend taking a listen to some of the Electric Universe stuff. It's not the same old crackpot conspiracy world that you might be wary of. But if not, all good. Stereogenic, I want to pass you a playlist for the lunar wave stuff that I put together for everybody. Let's see. Because it's definitely not hardware, and I created a playlist with a bunch of different lunar waves and that type of phenomenon. And at the end of this playlist, you'll see 2 videos that sort of show this effect. And I think it's something like this, possibly high altitude aircraft or testing of some sort of ballistic, something basically breaking the sound barrier and creating a double wave. It looks very much like that. So let me find this link for you right here. Alright, y'all, I got real tired all of a sudden. I think it's a long week. It's been great. Running into hour number 3 here. So, perfect timing. Moon's very high up there. I could stream for 4 hours and I still would have moon. But it's been perfect tonight. Full moon in a couple of nights, a couple of days. I'll try and stream tomorrow as well, and the day after. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. It's still early, but I'm gonna go chill and rest the back, because sitting here is just like actually kind of straining. All the burbs tonight. Arum Borax, so sorry, I'm about to wrap it up here, so thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Kimmy, Miguel, and Arum Borax, Stereogenic, Starlight Spectrum, thank you. 24/7. David Schmidt and Howard Ewing, Joe Salamone, Michael Wise, Copper Trops, nice to see you, and Electric Crystals, thanks for hanging out. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, please take a look at the old videos and the old playlist. There's a lot to discover. There are at least bunch of videos that people haven't seen, I'm sure, but I have started organizing them, so check that out, and check out the description of these videos. Pretty much every stream has the same description, and it shows a lot of Electric Universe channels, stuff about the gear, my music, and it seems like a lot of people don't ever check the description for things, but please do, and you'll find a lot of information. See. Ron Corson, I showed you Apollo 16 landing. That's all I got. Can't find anybody else. If I missed you, sorry. Dismantle Harp, good night, and the Session of the Nile, that's a cool name. Take care, everybody. I'll catch you on the flip. Shockwave Rick, I'll catch you tomorrow. Much love to everybody, and a lot of peace and kindness and wisdom to all of y'all. Alright, I'm out. Good night, good night, good night, everybody.